The newest episode of Severance probably frustrated a lot of people, but it had some big revelations. I understand why. The first 6 episodes had this lightning pace, and then episode 7 was kind of a pseudo bottle episode with some important revelations, and then episode 8 was like an actual bottle episode, so it could be frustrating. But if you think about season 2 like the chapters of a book, the pacing is actually perfect. You've got our protagonist, Mark, passing out at the end of episode 6, so episode 7 has a lot of things that are happening inside of his head. That episode ends with Devin threatening to call Cobell, so episode 8 is what Cobell has been up to, and then ends with Devin calling her. I feel pretty vindicated at this point in saying that Devin likely isn't severed or working for Lumen, but I'll let y'all process that on your own. We journey to the town of Salt's Neck, a town ravaged by Lumen and their ether factory, economically devastated by retrenchment and a bunch of things that would have been better explained by Margot Robbie in a bathtub. We find out a lot of new information about Miss Cobell. The hose that we've seen her with periodically was her dead mother's breathing tube. She was thereafter raised by her aunt Sissy. She was an excellent student of Kier, a recipient of the Wintertide Fellowship, the thing that we know Miss Huang is working toward. And Cobell worked in that toxic ether factory since she was at least 8 years old. They're creating sympathy for a very unsympathetic character. And it would seem like Huang isn't going to satisfy any of the wild conspiracy theories surrounding her origin. She's likely just a child. Apparently Lumen employs them all the time. Sissy is a bad person, a true blue Kier cultist. One of my favorite little touches is that when Harmony can't find her things, Sissy says that they were sold to the poor. Sold to the poor, not donated. Harmony eventually finds what she was looking for, her original plans for the severance process. She invented it, not James Egan. And she pulled the plans from James' head like a severance microchip. This episode was actually a hard return to their satire of corporate greed and corruption, the capitalistic destruction of a small town reduced to poverty and addiction. And of course, a CEO who steals the scientific breakthrough of a woman. Ether was used as anesthesia in the 19th century, but before that it was used recreationally by many as the inhabitants of this small town use it. They had parties back then where they would all do ether. Do you know what those parties were called? Frolics. Harmony's childhood friend, the waiter at the diner and local ether peddler, is named Hampton. One of the largest ether sales companies in the world today, albeit in a different form, is named Hampton Research. Teehee. Lots of people have put a ton of energy into wondering whether or not Devin's intentions have been secretly malevolent, when this episode suggests that maybe Cobell's intentions have been more benevolent than we heretofore thought possible. She's definitely done some heinous things regardless of context, but Cobell's mother was vehemently anti-Lumen, so she's at the very least primed for a major rebellion, and the fact that she invented Severance changes the context of what she's capable of. That's why she snatched the chip out of Petey so easily, and it turns out she will be quite useful in helping Mark with his reintegration. And that's why she was so academically curious about the possibility of reintegration all throughout season 1, and it makes it more egregious that the board was ignoring her. I'm just saying that what if she lived next to Mark and was so obsessed with him because she was trying to help him, at least in her own mind? It's